Hey everybody, welcome to the April 2nd MakerDAO community call. We do this call every Tuesday, and this call is meant to be just an overall picture of the last week in Maker. So we go over everything from events that are going on, technical milestones, any notable events that are going on in the space, partnerships, new hires within the foundation itself. We also have a section for highlighting stuff from the community, so Reddit posts, articles, podcasts, analysis pieces. The whole nine yards. We like to highlight and put it forth in these meetings to give you guys a bit of a place to get a nice recap of what's been going on. So my name is David. I'm the community development lead at MakerDAO, and I like to do these calls on Tuesdays. So glad you're here. Uh, without further ado, I think we're actually going to switch things up. We usually start with events first, but a couple of our people are going to be joining a bit late, so we're going to do events last. And I think just for fun, we're actually going to do highlights from the community first. So one really cool thing that's been going on in the community is actually the roll call vote that Nikolai is putting forth. So for those of you that don't know too much about it, it's meant to garner MKR voter participation, and the push is a serious push from Nikolai, who's an advisor to the project, and he is very much trying to get the bigger holders and the investment partners to actually come on, get their maker votable, and to participate in the governance of MakerDAO. So this is really cool, and there's also a fun part to it. So if you do participate into it, you get a chance to etch a message onto a slab. So basically, it's a file whose IPFS hash will be hard coded in the multi-collateral Dai system. So basically, you could do some cool SI art if you really want to. So that's a really cool community-led initiative by Nikolai. And definitely, if you have MKR that you have not voted with or have not redeemed, definitely look to do it. I believe the vote is supposed to be a week from now, so I think it's going to be happening around the 9th or the 10th. Yeah. So look out for that. That's really cool. So we have a couple of developer creations. We have somebody created and posted this thing called dieprice.info, which is another sort of statistics site and tracking site for Dai price, Dai supply, ETH price, and then how the two prices kind of coincide with each other. And there's also some Dex prices in there too. But the guy's on Reddit, so if you guys have any feedback for him, definitely go talk on the thread and help him improve, because we love these. The more analytic sites there are, the better, because that info is more decentralized and it's more readily available in multiple places. So if any one or two or three should go down, you have the other eight. So yeah. So moving on, we also have a CDP tracker concept app. So somebody posted a few screen caps of this potential app that they're doing, and I thought it was really cool. I thought one of the slides was a little bit dry. One of the interfaces was a bit dry, but it garnered some interaction from our community. And so if you guys are interested in doing feedback on user experience and user interfaces, definitely check out that Reddit thread that I linked in the agenda doc. And just to pause here, if you guys are joining late, I linked the agenda doc there in the chat for you, so you can follow along with what I'm going through. So next in the highlights for the community, we have a few articles. So Sentiment Data published this piece called "Last Week in Crypto," and they covered a few things. But one of the things that they covered was the voter activity on MakerDAO. So check that out, because they had some really interesting insights. I read it like almost as soon as I saw it, so I can't remember exactly what those insights were. But here, let me actually just check it out real quick. Yeah, so yeah, they made a point that the vote had a lot more attention compared to the last one. yeah, they put up a bunch of graphs and they made a lot of really cool uh, insights through the data that they had. So definitely check that out. Uh, all right, there was also MakerDAO, the decentralized and democratic path to leverage positions. So this was an article published on publishox.com, which is like a Ascent type, like Steemit type of site. But I mentioned it here. I usually skip over those articles, but I mentioned it here because the guy actually put in quite a lot of work into it. And sadly, I get 502 bad gateway when I try to access it. So I hope it wasn't taken down or something. Maybe their servers are running wacky this morning or this afternoon. But it was basically an introductory article to MakerDAO, and it was a good one at that. So definitely thought it was worth mentioning. There were a bunch of great threads this week. So somebody had the idea of a no loss lottery with Dai, where the idea would be basically to pool all of this Dai and basically let it run for some set amount of time, and the pool of Dai would be invested into compound or into the Dai savings rate or uh, whatever it might be. And so the interest that the Dai collects during that time period where the lottery is running, uh, that would be the prize, and basically everybody would get their Dai back. But I thought it was a pretty cool concept, and a lot of people really liked it. It got like almost 100 upvotes on our sub, which is a lot for our sub. uh, but yes, a lot of interest around that idea, which is cool. It was something to get people's minds off the stability fee, huh? But moving on. uh, and by the way, feel free, guys, to stop me at any point if you guys have anything to add or anything to. Yeah, Viv's right. Yeah, David, a lot of interest. Yeah, I only read through some of the comments. I didn't go through that thread too deeply. Uh, but yeah, so there was also a good thread talking about DGX as a collateral type. So in multi-collateral Dai, and they were just talking about the state of DGX, and I thought that that thread was pretty rich with info. There was another couple of threads on the peg. Uh, Basically, one of them was the peg going off to 96 cents again, and the other one was about an automated interest based on the Dai peg. So like somebody proposed like an automatic stability fee sort of map, and they put together. A couple of table, I think a single table, but the table had a bunch of different like theoretical options, and it was a good idea. So definitely think it's worth a look over if you're interested in potential ways to manage the stability fee moving forward and just thinking about it from a conceptual standpoint. So definitely check that out. Let me just check on the chat. All right, cool. And for videos, there was this one video that I saw, the Holy Grail of Crypto Part 2, and it went into the different stable coins. And it was a piece where it basically broke down the algorithmic, the USD backed, and then the crypto backed stable coins. And it was a bit biased towards Dai, I'd say, but uh it was a pretty overall straightforward and good explanation of the different types of stable coins that are around, and we haven't seen one of those in a while, so figured I might as well put it forth to you guys. So that's pretty much it for highlights from the community. There wasn't too much going on this week. uh, Oh, actually, sorry, I actually totally missed it. There's two podcasts that I think were really, really great. So one of them was from Unchained, and actually our community's very own Mateo Leibowitz and Ryan Todd. They were on the podcast. Thank you, Katie. I know it's a nice hoodie. But yeah, so Mateo Leibowitz and Ryan Todd were on the podcast, and they actively participate in the governance discussions. And Mateo actually posts a really wonderful weekly recap of the governance meetings, which are very worth reading. They're a fantastic summary. And actually, oh, wow, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but I'll mention it afterwards. He's actually the winner of the March Community Mention of the Month. So that's really cool. But he was on the Unchained podcast with Laura Shin, and they did a whole conversation on why they think that Dai is struggling to keep its peg. And then there was also Someway Jane, who, if you guys don't know who that is, uh, he's one of the guys who started Instadap and MakerScan. And actually, Someway and his team were one of the first actually hackathon winners. I don't know if they were one of the first, but they were pretty early on hackathon winners. For
Yeah, they won ETH India.
Yeah, ETH India,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it was like back in August. And then they came to ETH San Francisco and wowed the crowds there too and won again. Are
Yeah,
they?
back to backs. They're a really awesome team. And Someway got to do his first podcast, I think yesterday or the day before, because I only saw it this morning, and I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but something tells me that it's probably worth listening to. All right, cool. So now, really quickly, I'm gonna go through some technical milestones, online events, those kinds of things, and partnerships. So all right. So for partnerships, Cost.io listed Maker and Dai. We also had a US stock index token powered by UMA and backed by Dai launch, which is really cool. It gives anybody in the world access to basically get exposure to, I think it's the S&P, or I don't think it's actually exactly the S&P. It's just the top 500 stocks, which I guess is the S&P, but not 100% sure on that. Actually, so Jessica, do you know much
Yeah,
about that deal?
yeah,
Because I know that Akiva had a couple of questions, and I was trying to get somebody on the call to help answer them.
yeah.
So,
Cool. Akiva, what are the questions? It's actually not my deal and I haven't been actively involved, but we can figure it out.
so I know some of Akiva's questions were around the type of synthetic asset that UMA is, like how it's exactly constructed. What does it mean that it's powered by Dai? Uh,
Yeah,
and
so my question was also about like how it will compare to Maker synthetic assets. Like because it kind of seems like you guys are helping your competitors because
Yeah. I know that's a really brilliant point there. I mean, really, it was just kind of like an easy win for us because you're right. It's and like Rune would say this himself, like it's not going to be as awesome as the synthetic assets that we make, but it is very similar to what we're eventually going to roll out, and that it's an example of the S&P 500 and using Dai essentially as a collateral. But in this case, like we don't take on any liability. So that's why it's just a quick win for us and it'll generate some Dai usage in a time when we need that.
right. So UMA itself is the issuer, and I think the way that it works is that there's DAI sitting in escrow backing the actual synthetic assets that were issued against it. And I think the value of like one of them is similar to the S&P. I think it's like 20, like a little bit over 2 grand or something like that, right? So I think $1 million worth of that was issued and is being traded on DDEX. Uh, but actually, I think I might be able
Right.
to
So Uma's not
get
actually the
talk about it.
Uma's not actually the issuer. I believe it's
No,
or Uma like facilitates it all, but it's actually a group in China that issues the Dai. But I might be incorrect on that. I'd have to read up.
it's all right. I'm gonna get Joe on the call in just a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's actually it's more so Joe's deal. So
Yeah, but I could speak to the Maker synthetic assets. So the way that those actually come into existence is kind of like the same way that Dai comes into existence, uh, except it's flipped around backwards, right? Like the idea behind Maker synthetics is that you lock up Dai and you're able to issue any asset that you can like get a reliable price feed for in the opposite direction. So you lock up the Dai as collateral, and you're able to like create like synthetic plutonium or synthetic any asset basically that has a market that people have gone ahead so far as to make a CDP version of creating it. But uh, yeah, so that's the idea behind the Maker synthetic assets. Other synthetic assets like the one that Uma did is more managed by a central party rather than by like a decentralized financial instrument. Uh, and then I think the other form of of synthetic assets that you were talking about, Akiva, you were saying like actual tokenized like stocks and ETFs, right? So those I can imagine are also probably centrally issued, maybe even through a regulatory like institution. But of course, like that's in the future. I don't really know of any actual issued like securities now, besides like I know the real estate companies are trying to do things like that. Jessica, actually, maybe you could speak a bit to that. So, like Fluidity Factora, for example, we did a thing with them a few weeks ago that you were a part of.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
How did they handle the issuance of like the equity of like the real estate?
Yeah, I'm familiar with all of that stuff. You don't have to go over that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But is Joe on the call yet? Even out of curiosity, Jessica, do you like even from my own curiosity, do you know exactly how like they handle the issuance of the tokenized equity itself?
Yeah, I mean, they just essentially sell it in the form of a token, and then people have the ability to buy it with Dai. Like that's what the current rollout is. And what's exciting about it is that when multi-collateral Dai launches, is then we can use that tokenized equity in multi-collateral Dai, and then it'll create this sort of virtuous circle in which people can sort of gain leverage with Dai, which they're also using to purchase more of the tokenized equity. But there's definitely more to come on Fluidity Factora. It's just all still in development. Like a lot of exciting things are about to happen that you guys will learn about soon.
All right, thanks. All right, while Joe's getting on, I'm gonna move on to, if you guys don't have any other specific questions, I'm gonna move on to the other partnerships and stuff that's in this section. Hey Andrew, give me just a second. All right. Yeah, so besides the UMA and Dai powered US stock index token, we also had Protea come out announcing their granteeship and partnership with us. So Protea, for those of you that don't know, is like it's a meetup organizing application, and it actually also allows you to stake Ether, similar to how you're able to stake Ether in ETH Denver, against your attendance. So basically, if you come, you're able to like get back your Ether, and I think even get a share of the people's that didn't come. But I might be sharing an idea that isn't actually in production just yet. But they're doing really cool stuff when it comes to meetups, so definitely check them out. And I know Florian from Protea is actually a big part of the Ethereum like global meetup organizers. Yeah, I think that's right. Might not be the ETH Global, might be just the general Ethereum like organizers community for meetups all around the world. But they are a really great company. I have a ton of respect for those guys. They are doing things I don't even nearly begin to understand, like tokenized bonding curves and all that kind of stuff. They are really interesting project. I'm curious to learn more and to see what they're going to come up with in the coming year or two.
If I can just jump a little bit in. Hi guys, sorry for joining
hey,
late. I just want to say I might have missed my featured events part, but I just want to say that I was also pretty blown away what Flo with the entire Protea team has managed, because we basically met them at the eStatus hackathon. Sorry, at Status Hackathon that was just before DEF CON, and back then it just sounded like like a kickback with just like some edit things to it. But now it seems like it can be really useful in the whole DeFi space. So we have invited Florian into panel that will be focused mainly on financial inclusion for the region. That is the DeFi event we do day before ETH Cape Town Hackathon kicks off. So I'm really excited to learn more. And if anyone is around there, please join us on the 18th of April. And if not, we should at least be able to record it, so then I could share the recording with you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Lenka. And I know Florian has a ton of other like sort of complementary ideas to build into the app that would like help with onboarding users to crypto generally. It would help with connecting like parallel communities. Like he has a lot of these really innovative ideas around how to build communities up, and that's why I'm a big fan of them. But yeah, I would really love to see that recording, Lenka, for sure. All right. Besides that, we also have yes. Did you say something, Jess?
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, it's cool.
I actually need to hop off though. Is there any, I mean, like pretty soon, is there any more specific like BD questions that I can help answer?
Up to the chat. I think I just wanted to get Akiva's question answered about UMA and synthetic assets.
Yeah, no, for sure, Akiva, you're right on the money there, and that we're going to launch synthetic assets ourselves soon, and it'll be even more awesome than what we're doing with UMA. So
Soon with like the hyphen like TM.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you coming on the call. Definitely. All right. Cool. So besides the Protea, we also have we also partnered up with Connext Payments. So they did a post called "Introducing Streaming Payments for Ujo with Connext Payments Channels and Dai." Ujo, I believe, is a consensus-based like music streaming service, if I'm not mistaken. And so they are doing this really cool thing where you could stream music with crypto. And it's check it out. Yeah, they're an early stage startup, and they are doing cool things. I remember when I was like really early into getting into Bitcoin and like blockchain and all that stuff. I was thinking, man, it's going to take over everything. It's going to take over streaming payments and my insurance on my car. I'm going to be able to do everything in crypto. Now I'm thinking like, wow, it's probably going to take another 5 to 10 years. But then I see projects like this and I get really excited because maybe I won't wait 5 to 10 years. But nevertheless, yes, another DAI integration. And also, Coinbase Custody added MKR voting to their internal like custody client UI, which is really cool because now people that are institutional partners, bigger participants and owners of MKR who might be custodying through Coinbase are able to participate in decentralized governance without risking their assets, which is or unduly risking their assets, which is really cool. And also, just to speak to their actual user interface, I was pleasantly surprised that it's not too dissimilar from ours, but it's really sleekly done as Coinbase does. So definitely check that out. And there was a couple of podcasts as well this week, both with Rune, and actually both came out on the same day. So there was a ZK podcast, Zero Knowledge FM podcast with Rune, and they spoke about. I believe they spoke about stablecoins, MakerDAO's take on stablecoins, CDPs, how the peg is maintained, security, oracles, and more. Basically, an overview of MakerDAO. And then there was also the sorry, I'm coming out of being a little bit sick, so excuse my coughing. So there was also an Into the Ether podcast by ETHUB, which is the host is Eric Connor, and I believe the co-host is Anthony Sassano, who they're really big heads on Reddit. They're big Dai shills. But they had Rune Christensen on the Into the Ether podcast, and they spoke a lot about stability in crypto. And I think they went into a bit about the stability fee and DAI savings rate and some of the plans for multi-collateral DAI. So check those podcasts out. There's a couple of really good ones. So the bigger news, I guess three of the bigger news pieces for this week are: number one, there was an update on the road to multi-collateral DAI, which is really cool. That Maker blog post is filled with developer resources and instructions on if you're a developer or if you're just a a curious onlooker on how to actually get the thing running on Kovan, how to access Kovan ETH and Kovan DAI and all that kind of stuff, and the experimental Kovan collateral that they have. But check out the blog and you get a better sense on what is coming in multi-collateral DAI. They also released a sneak peek of the new CDP portal for multi-collateral DAI, which is not too different from the current one, but nevertheless, it's cool to see that things are moving forward, for sure. All right, we also have another FAQ up for review So at the community development group, we've been working on a set of documents that basically goes over each module of like single collateral Dai, whether it's governance, CDPs, Dai, the MKR token itself, MakerDAO as a company. We basically have a bunch of documents, and we've been drafting them up and fighting to complete them for the last few months. And over the last few weeks, we've been slowly rolling them out to you guys. We had the stability fee FAQ a couple of weeks ago. We had the Dai FAQ last week. And so this week we have the governance FAQ, which is particularly relevant for this season that we're in as a community. So definitely check that out and offer your feedback on it, because the plan for these is that they get hosted on Reddit. The community gets to basically pick them apart, add questions, help us even with sentence structure and grammar and typos, uh, clear up any misconceptions, help us be more clear in our articulating of like these certain answers to these certain questions. So definitely participate in that thread. We'd love to have a better FAQ for everybody. So definitely an awesome community driven thing. Yes. And then besides those two things, actually released yesterday the mentions of the month, which I put forward I post on Reddit every Monday, every first Monday of the month. And basically, the idea of this program or this initiative is to give some little appreciation to uh, some of the most interesting content, or like some of the most high effort content that we see created by our community. So MakerDAO is largely dependent on the community, and we at the foundation think it's really important to recognize community members and to kind of herald them and put them up on a pedestal, and cheer them on and give them a Dai tip and give them some Reddit platinum, and also mention a whole bunch of other people that did really great work. And so this is just a little bit of what we could do to show our appreciation for our community, and definitely check that out, participate. And if you think that I missed anybody that deserves Reddit Platinum and the Dai tip, you should definitely comment that, and we'll take notice. So that I think is it for me for all the sort of more official side of the announcements. And I think if we have no particular questions, we can get into the events. All right, cool. So I am gonna start off with Lenka. Lenka, how's Europe?
Okay. Hey guys. I actually think that last Thursday was really awesome day to be in Copenhagen, because we managed to kick off something that we hope that will be like more of a community maintained or sustained and driven ETH Web3 platform. We had really long evening with networking, keynotes, and very, very spicy panel. We had Rune, and we had Edward from Polkadot, and we invited a lawyer in the panel. That's why it's exciting. I'll share the recording with you. So that was really, really good feeling that we actually like managed to fill the house. We even had Jacob from Raiden Network, who has actually started the roots of this initiative, coming back like 3 or so years. That was like the local community for Ethereum fans in Copenhagen, and then he like left it off. So it was really, really great. It felt really good to be based in Copenhagen, and I hope that we have started a bigger movement here. So I'll share that. But looking ahead, Saran, who is our head of product, he is actually heading to Brussels. He'll be speaking, or he'll be representing Maker in this initiative called International Association of Trusted Blockchain Applications. So this is a really great thing to do, to have like a dialogue on this level as well, to actually show that we are a trustworthy and transparent project, and we're open for discussions and open for feedback, and we would like to give some industry insights as well to the politicians, just to ensure that it won't go all wrong because of the lack of understanding of each other's context. So I'm really happy that he will be going there tomorrow. And besides that, I think we have quite easygoing time ahead of us. The other thing is only me going to opening of OKX exchange for the German market. I'll speak a little bit about Maker there to like 200-300 crypto people, and then I'll get back. And all I'm doing is preparing for the ETH Cape Town. I mean, it's not all, but it takes a lot of time. So I'm really excited about the ETH Cape Town, and I hope that we will really make a difference by being there, because I think African region is really, really relevant when it comes to like being able for our project to create an impact and drive the DeFi movement further. So that's that. I think David will share the links in the agenda. So yeah, I can just share the town hall recording from last Thursday. All for me.
Yeah, so hold on, I'm actually gonna paste the links into the agenda if anybody's interested in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
did it. Cool.
And I just saw this Maker Ghana event, and I don't know if you guys covered it or what's going on. So I just wanted to
Oh
mention
yeah,
that.
sure. So that's actually a bit of I mean, I guess this is a bit of a sneak peek to something that the community development group has been working on in regards to like meetups in our space in general. So I won't get into it too much, but you guys will be seeing a blog post about it coming out soon. But the Maker Ghana thing is this really cool guy. Uh, I remember him by his Rocket Chat handle, unfortunately, CryptoNub. But he's this really down to earth dude. Knows a lot about Maker. Really passionate about having stable currency. That yeah, Link is saying I leaked it. Yeah. So there's a couple of people in Africa that are really interested in Dai, and they're going to be doing a couple of meetups, and we're happy to help them, and it's really cool. Yeah. So one of them is in Ghana, and I think the other one is in Uganda. So the starts of our community there. So cool. Thank you for the update, Lenka. Appreciate it. Mariano, are you on the call? You in here?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
man, how's it going in South America? What's going on?
Really cool. We had a Ethereum Buenos Aires meetup here. It happens on a monthly basis. We have as you know, MakerDAO is part of the organizers together with Ripio and Decentralized and other companies. And we have Glenn Bill from Radical Exchange talking about Ethereum, Dai, what is happening with Dai Peg. We have like some sorts of round table with Mariano Conti also. It was a really cool event. And then we have on April a hackathon in Buenos Aires, a small hackathon, but it's cool because it's organized by the biggest technological university here in Argentina. It's called UTN. It's like a technical university, national technical university. And we will be having Mariano Conti again talking about oracles, I guess oracles, or I mean at least for Maker. We'll have people from Binance and other cool projects here too. And for the moment, that's it that I have from Buenos Aires.
Nice, man.
And Latin America.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. All right, cool. So before we get anywhere else, I know Joe Q joined the call. So now we could reiterate Akiva's question about UMA. So Joe, are you there?
Right here.
Hey man. All right. So Akiva had the question of how exactly UMA works as a synthetic asset. So like, what's the structure of it? Like, how is it backed by Dai? Who issues it? How is it traded around? And how does it compare to other synthetic assets? Like, for example, ones that might come around in Maker's future.
So this is just the first experiment. Let me just say this is the first experiment for synthetic assets, and we launched it in connection with UMA project and with DDEX. So you can watch it right now. Let me try to get to like the. I will try to get you the link so you can. I'll put it in the chat here so you can see us. Watch what goes on. Not a lot of volume right now because it's all China, but like we provided the Dai. We provided the $1 million in Dai to Alameda, who is the issuer. We were not the issuer of it, but we went and they issued us U.S. stock tokens, and I'm providing liquidity there right now. You can watch it. It's about four S&P points wide, but we plan on making it much more thicker, like being like a point wide, like the regular S&P futures. But right now there just hasn't been a lot of players that come in. Only they've come in China just a little bit. But we just wanted to see how it would work. First, from a standpoint of like testing it out. So this contract expires May 15th. Or sorry, May 23rd. Just go to cash. It will go to Dai, and then everybody will get their equivalent Dai back, their equivalent Dai back of the U.S. token. But we expect in June, July, we'll be issuing more permanent synthetics that will be out there, so people can go and trade and take their Dai and invest it in U.S. stocks. So this U.S. stock one basically mimics the S&P 500. It's not the S&P 500, but it mimics, basically almost mimics it. What I expect to see synthetic assets for RMB, Euro, and I also think you'll see it for crude oil and gold very soon, all denominated in Dai.
So Joe, I have a couple of questions. So at the end of the expiration date for these things, is it like automatically converted into Dai, or do they have to go to the issuer? Like, what's the process at the end of the contract?
It will automatically be converted over by the exchange over. You can go to a redeemer contract. It automatically you convert it over to your U.S. stock, your U.S. stocks. It's called U.S. stocks. You convert it over into the redeemer contract into Dai.
Yeah. Okay.
The exact number.
So there's a contract. Okay. Got it. All right. Cool. And so, Akiva, if you have any particular questions besides what Joe's covered, definitely feel free to speak up.
Yeah. How will Maker's synthetic assets be better than UMA's synthetic assets?
No, there's no difference. We're working with them. We're working together with them.
But there's going to be also another kind of synthetic asset that Maker releases that Rune spoke about at a conference last summer.
Might be other synthetic assets in terms of like real estate, which UMA has been focused on, like all the financial ones. So you'll see like that's meaning like crude oil, natural gas, all that stuff in terms of what trades in a normal like Wall Street market. But other synthetic assets you might see are going to be in real estate. That's what I think he's hinting at, and also in invoices and mortgage-backed securities.
So Joe, I think Rune was also talking about the idea that if you can get a price feed for anything, you can create any synthetic asset through a CDP-like mechanism where you lock in Dai and you can actually issue a brand new synthetic asset yourself by borrowing it against your Dai collateral. That's a bit about what he talked about in Prague last year. I think that's what Akiva was referencing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. Right now, we don't have a unit within Maker doing this, but we've just been working with UMA to get it done.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, I think I could actually speak a little bit more into the differences. I guess like synthetic assets will be synthetic assets. What really defines them, though, is probably their markets, right? Like the market depth, the liquidity, the amount of people participating in trading them. So the way a synthetic asset might be constructed, that might be just a nuance, for the end user perspective, right? Like if you're trading synthetic plutonium, like, all right, maybe you should pay attention to whether or not it has an expiration date and you need to actually redeem it for Dai. But if it doesn't, and it's a synthetic asset that kind of permanently lives on the blockchain, it really what defines the quality of it is probably the market itself. That's just kind of like my 2 cents and my intuition. Is that about right, Joe? Do you think that that's right? Would
Yeah.
you disagree with that?
The synthetic asset, we're just taking it so you can go and invest your Dai and actually have a use case scenario and say, okay, well, you know, you're just like your US dollars.
Got it.
Did that answer your question? I forget who asked the question.
Kiva asked it, yeah.
Kiva? Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you coming on the call for a few minutes. All right, so without further ado, I believe I've gone through all of our announcements and all the stuff that I was going to mention in this call this week. So I'm going to open it up to the chat to see if you guys want to talk about anything specific, if you guys want to bring anything up, if you guys have any questions, and if not, otherwise we can end the call a bit early, and we'll have an awesome week in MakerDAO again, and we will reconvene on the 9th. But I'm going to leave it open for a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions or anything that they want to talk about. All right, cool. Thank you guys for coming. Ping me if you guys need anything during the week, but until then, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for coming on the call. Appreciate it a lot. Hope you guys
See ya. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice week.